Hello and welcome back to Catching Up with literally anyone else in the world other than Double-Lift. We're here joined by insert player X and Y from EG. Woo!
X and Y, I mean, I guess for randoms or something. Right? So.
We didn't. How did you guys even set this up? Like what?
Bro, I don't even know what's going on, but.
Is it tilted? Why are you tilted, Mark? Mark looks more tilted than this table, by the way.
Are you okay?
Mark needs some therapy.
It's time to eat a hot dog. Let's go eat a hot dog, guys.
I'm done.
All right, follow me down the hallway. We're gonna go get a hot dog. Yep. Actually, well, you don't need to swallow, but you will need to bite a hot dog. After you.
What is going on?
What is this?
What is this?
Hot dog time.
It's hot dog time. We're gonna go eat a hot dog. That's the challenge, is we're gonna slide. Whoever gets the biggest bite of the hot dog wins. We each have our own separate hot dogs, and then we'll just compare sizes at the end.
You're gonna have to pay me like crazy to do this, by the way.
Come on, it's a fresh hot dog. I just cooked it.
That's the challenge. We have to slide.
I'm not doing this. I'm disqualified, by the way. I'm disqualified.
Bro, I need to see you do this. No, I need to see you do this.
I'm not doing this.
Bro, come on.
I'm not doing this.
Imagine the comments. You're gonna be like, wow, JoJo, what a coward.
That's true.
Wait, you're cheating.
No?
Bro, that's not allowed.
No?
And you got a tiny bite, too.
Yeah, I'm easy to beat. Go for it.
How do you miss?
If you're gonna talk shit, you have to try.
Yeah, you
it.
can't talk shit and then just stand there.
Bro, I'm not. You can go revenge.
Bro, if I go, you have to go. If I go, you have to go. I can't.
No, I'm not doing this, man.
Let's give it up for Revenge. Everyone, Revenge is gonna go for it. Boo, JoJo.
Boo!
Whoa.
Sorry.
Whoa.
I don't know what
He's throwing his meat.
Let's grease you up a little bit.
I'm getting grease?
Yeah, just grease you up.
Looks
The
pretty
hot
good.
dog warmer was just cold.
Bro, like everyone else has done this. This is like the most simple thing. They're just sitting in a room. We're over here sliding on stuff and biting dogs. Like, what is this? Wow,
You got the best episode. Are you complaining? Lubed up. Don't back down. Never back down.
Whoa. Okay.
Oh, he got it! Oh.
He got it!
Wait, where's my dog? Oh,
Yours is smaller. You won.
Revenge wins at eating a hot dog. JoJo's DQ from participating. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe.
Bro, we're not telling anyone about this until it's released.
Bro, they can't even pay me to do this. Like, this.
JoJo's just out of here.
Welcome back to LCS Championship Weekend, delivered by Grubhub. Before we get into Champ Select here for Game 3, let's go ahead and hear Pyosik's thoughts on APA and the return of the NA mid.
네, 그 북미에 그 미드가 많이 없다는 거를 일단 있어봤자 뭐 조조편이나 팔라폭스 정도는 알았는데 APA 처음 왔을 때는 완전 미국 순수 미국인이다라고 했을 때 그럼 몇 없는 APA는 미국에 몇 없는 미드라이너네 하면서 와 근데 얘랑 같이 해보니까 얘가 롤 시작한 지 1년인가 2년 만에 챌린저 달고 그랬다는 거예요. 저는 한 4년 걸렸는데 그래서 와 얘 진짜 재능 많다. 얘 진짜 언젠가는 되게 잘할 것 같다라는 생각을 했던 것 같아요.
Pyosik having the faith in his mid laner. APA's Neeko ultis being a big part of Team Liquid, being able to bounce back in Game 2 and tie up the series. For those of y'all that have missed it, both games have been scrappy so far in this one. I'm excited to see what we get in Game 3. The teams are staying on the same sides. We've seen them thus far. Kai'Sa has been a big deal. I'm curious if Team Liquid is going to ban it away this time, considering it almost brought energy back from the precipice just this previous game.
Yeah, it's just so comfortable to be able to rely on that 3-item power spike, that poke damage that you know is going to have a huge effect later on into the game. We're changing up a little bit already, putting the Cassiopeia right back on the ban list here from NRG. I don't expect any changes from Team Liquid, from their side for the bans. this is now 15 or 16 Jace games in a row that they've banned since Palafox beat them with it. I lost count. Probably follow with the Azir as well. And they're going to continue to focus from NRG's side, those APA champions, though. The Ziggs, I think, is the one that you never drop.
Do you guys think that Dhokla should go back to the Rumble? Because I felt like that was such a strong pick in that first game.
As a professional analyst, they won while playing it. So, yes.
True.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, another AP to fit in is going to have to work around because they're always working around trying to involve the Kai'Sa.
That's why I'm just wondering if it's better to first pick Trist than go Rumble.
Yeah, and last time around, they themselves banned away the Trist.
Yeah, so because the Trist is open, so I'm wondering if they are going to change that up and actually first pick Trist. Gives Palafox something that can really carry in the late game, maybe compare it alongside that Rumble. If I was NRG, I would be thinking about that adaptation for Game 3.
Yep. Cassio and Ziggs, remaining banned for NRG. Jace and Renekton, remaining banned for TL. Viego, the adaptation. They do not want to allow Pyosik a third game in a row. Xayah banned out by TL. Kai'Sa and Trist both on the board.
And another thing that makes me think they might go Trist first is the Cassio ban, because that is a really bad matchup, so it is that change that I expected. Trist first.
If you leave it, though, I feel like this time Team Liquid are for sure going to take the Kai'Sa because the Xayah is banned, so you know you're giving that up.
I agree, right? But I still think that could be worthwhile in this situation because Palafox has been so good on the Trist, and I do think it allows you to open up the door for that potential Rumble that Dhokla can go for, and that is a banger cosplay. I'm not going to lie.
I love the Gragas, dude.
That guy's a
shot.
Let's go!
Graggy eyes!
Go, Gragas, go!
Okay, now hit us with the burp.
I love this guy, dude. I love this guy, dude. Somebody give that guy some free merch. He deserves it. We've got Kai'Sa and Rell locked in for TL. This is a power duo we've seen from so many teams throughout all of Summer Split.
Definitely is. The Rell, as we've been over so many times, is flexible, but so many times, like you feel like both of these are going to the bottom lane.
Yeah.
APA is not much of a Kai'Sa player, and CoreJJ much more the Rell side.
Yeah, Pyosik has played Rell twice in playoffs, as has CoreJJ, so they played it an equal amount of times in playoffs, but definitely associating that more with CoreJJ. And it is going to be Ezreal, so now is that moment of truth. Will it be a move towards the Rumble? No, instead it's just going to be the Maokai here. So Maokai, traditionally paired with that Jace, but does bring you that solo AP. So I do think it's going to be physical damage. Obviously, from mid, from bot, you bring in this Demonic Embrace Maokai and have that as your solo AP threat.
And remember back in game number 1, when the Tristana was the first pick for NRG back then, Maokai was the first ban in the second ban phase from TL. NRG are looking at that as being a likely response again. They want to make sure they can lock in this AP threat. Speaking of AP threats, APA back in the Neeko for the third game in a row.
I'm shocked. I am truly and utterly shocked. Back on the Neeko. Basically just playing that team fight role. I mean, he made a lot of mistakes in the mid-game, almost allowing for a comeback of NRG in the previous game. But then once you hit that sweet engage at Elder Dragon, nobody cares. He got both carries. They win the game. Beautiful stuff.
And this is now, coming into today, he already had 5 plays of the Neeko in just playoffs alone. This is 3 straight Neeko games, so he's up to 8, double his second most played champion throughout playoffs, which was that Tristana that he has moved away from. The Rumble, though, going to get banned out. They know that is going to be a threat. There's already double physical damage here drafted for NRG, so they didn't elect to grab it in the first round. They're not going to be able to get it in the second.
Kindred banned out by NRG. There's a respect ban. Yup, they do not want Pyosik on this, knowing that they already have AP in the mid lane and the bot lane carry roles.
Yeah, I mean, especially they're just loading up on it. They want him off the Viego, now off the Kindred as well. Just push it further and further and further down on those AD options. Of course, they could always rotate the Rell there if they needed to.
All right, last brand from TL to go along with that Rumble will be Alistar, trying to keep IgNar off of some of that engage potential.
Also, Alistar is really annoying when you're running stuff like the Neeko, and it's good into Rell support.
Yep.
So that makes me more think that the Rell is going support, because Alistar can counter the crash down pretty easily.
But at the same time, if there's going to be another jungle ban thrown in, then Pyosik obviously can still grab that. They do still maintain that option. But pretty standard stuff drafted through these first couple. I like the Gwen ban. I honestly prefer banning Gwen over Fiora because Fiora is much more difficult to 5v5 on. Yes, Fiora can be such a monster in those side lanes, really crushes towers even faster than the Gwen can, but it's much more difficult to pilot in those 5v5s. The Taric is something we saw banned in game number 1. It has become a bit of the CoreJJ special. and could be an interesting pick here, but there's quite a bit of poke over on the NRG side, so I don't think you're going to draft it into a non-committal team. You generally only want to draft it into hard engage.
Right, remember back in game number 1 when we saw the Cassio and the Ziggs ban together, the third ban was that Taric, and I think that's one of the reasons why you lock the Ezreal as your alternate choice when you see them take the Kai'Sa away, because you're preventing the efficacy of the Taric from being as high as it otherwise could.
Because of the mid lane champion pool, especially for Team Liquid, they almost always run these dive-heavy compositions. So I love the pairings when you have Nocturne with those super dive comps. They've got the Rell engage. The Kai'Sa can follow from anywhere. And if you cover of darkness, the Neeko engage, there's no way they see this Neeko coming. And it really makes that job easy. But it also means you're really one-dimensional. And so you're going to be diving into a Maokai, past a Cassante, past a Braum. I love this Braum pick. The counter engage picks, since you know this style from Team Liquid is so obvious, you pick as many counter engage things and answers as you possibly can.
Especially with double AD carry, incredibly strong. And you know, this is, if it was another player, I would be saying this is such a strong tank angle because it's all physical damage really from NRG. And going, you know, a Sire or an Orin or whatever and stacking armor would make it really difficult for NRG to be able to punch through that front line. But because it's Summit, I just don't think you're ever going to get that. You know, I do think we're going to get an Aatrox or we're going to get a Fiora, something along those lines. I think Aatrox sets you up better for the 5v5, so I think it makes sense. It still has an edge in these tank matchups. Yeah. And I think it does kind of fit the bill here. But it also means that NRG is not really going to be punished at all for drafting almost purely physical damage. Yes, I know the Maokai is going to go Demonic Embrace, but honestly, who cares? It's still going to be massively physical damage between the Cassante and the double AD carries.
Exactly. And although there is not going to be just pure ball of meat levels of builds of armor on the side of TL, you're still going to be looking at steel caps on the front line. You're still going to be looking at all armor items having a much higher value, particularly those bruiser items that you can build on something like the Aatrox or the Nocturne.
It is a lot harder to grab armor, though, just straight up. You know, in a lot of these builds, like you can grab Azonias and things like that. You could go towards Death Stance, but, you know, AD carries can pick up a Hex Shrinker or whatever so easily. Armor's a lot harder to itemize.
I mean, honestly, the buffs to Aatrox, we're in AD scaling, too. So, like, we are getting some offensive looks here. Yeah. And those Maokai saplings are nothing to be laughed at, especially with the demonic burn as they walk through the brush.
I'm laughing.
I think the biggest thing here, though, is there's such stark differences where Team Liquid is always so heavy on the dive, and NRG have a lot of kite back options. Not only the Braum, but also the Maokai, and their two AD carries are two AD carries that both have their own self-peel, own self-jumps here to be able to try and disengage.
This is a bit weird. FBI and IgNar with double heal. I think that's got to be an accident. I wonder if we're going to have some sort of a pause or a remake, because you just don't want that, straight up. You don't want double heal. It's just straight bad. Maybe a bit of a miscommunication on who was going to take what summoner, but if it's the player's fault, they don't get a remake for it. So we have to see if it was a client issue that they tried to change and the client bugged out, because guess what happens?
Yeah, if you forget to change it, if it's a brain problem, then sorry. If it's a client problem, then okay, that's fair. You get to change it to something more effective. But yeah, double heal is, you report that in solo queue.
That's definitely not it. And honestly, just even the theory, it sounds like it's probably a player issue. I don't know if they're going to be able to pass this off some way as, it changed it automatically.
I will
at the
say
last
sometimes I've had it, you know, where you try to change summoners and it doesn't actually update your summoners. You can't actually change. So there can be issues. We are having them investigate on stage. Obviously, they have full recordings of the players' screens, their mouse clicks, everything, so they can see exactly what they did or didn't do. They're going to check that out backstage, and then we will obviously get the update on if they're going to be forced to play through or not, and we will keep you guys involved as soon as we have any additional information. But, you know, I was definitely expecting FBI to be playing Cleanse. I think that the Fear Tether from Nocturne is problematic. Obviously, the CC, the lockdown there from APA, you know, CoreJJ as well. There's a lot of things that you really do want to have that Cleanse for. So FBI, if he's not able to actually swap over to it, I think NRG are already at a significant disadvantage, and there can be a bit of a mental edge there that can get in your head.
Right, exactly. That thing where you're thinking about any time that you would die because you had double heal, you can always attribute it to just, man, could this have been different? How different would it have been? It's such a small thing that can have such a big impact on everything. So taking a look at the players, you can see APA looking relaxed enough during the pause. Pyosik leaning back, hands behind his head as well. This is one of those things that can also test you. We talk about a lot of these guys being new to these big stadium games, to these finals experiences.
But they're not new to pauses.
No, they're not new to pauses. They have been molded in the fire and flames of the pause, but that fire burns a little different in a game like this.
Do you think we're actually going to get AP Maokai here with Contractz going phase rush, and he actually has green smite?
Yeah, I mean, definitely could just go tank version here. Like you said, there's not going to be tank builds on your opponents, except for the Rell, of course, which is a little bit less funding for support roles, so not as scary.
The yard sale tank.
Yeah. Just putting on a random rain boot he found over here.
He couldn't go to the store and get all the good stuff.
He
had to make a mishmash.
over there.
Yeah.
Football helmet.
Cute
You got
little
a hockey
tank.
helmet. You got a baseball bat.
The lance is actually just a broom that he bought from Old Man Jenkins down on the corner.
Garbage pail lid.
Yeah, it's all good. Having a good old time. Again, no updates yet, but we'll let you guys know as soon as we figure out whether or not it was a player error or a client error that resulted in NRG's bot lane taking that double heal.
Yeah, I mean, as fun as it is, I mean, honestly, you don't have to like full commit to AP to go with a demonic. Most people just go with the demonic and then the healing mythic as well, the radiant virtue. So
it's been interesting.
Just get that little bit of a splash.
Because we have seen in playoffs a couple times recently where Maokai were going AP, had a really good game. We saw a couple even fully Andrews with everything coming through. So it's making a bit of a return in the LCS, at least in the games where the players are having a great start.
Okay, I've been updated. FBI changed his summoner spells right before the game loaded in and did not notice. The game will play through.
Ouch! And you hear that one. That is painful. Everybody can kind of relate to that happening at home as well.
At least you don't have to jungle without smite.
Yeah, that's
those are the ones
that was
where
a game ender.
I'm like, all right, my bad. Gonna alt F4 on this one.
Sorry about your LP, boys.
I'll take the L on this one. All me.
But that is rough. That is seriously going to feel bad for NRG in the bot lane, having to play with the double heal there.
All right, well, we'll look at the strategies where you rotate the heals and you try and wait out the debuff timer and don't make it too bad for yourselves. Obviously, you're not going to be able to replace a cleanse, but, you know, the heal, it's not useless down there.
It's not useless.
Having two.
It's definitely not ideal.
They did walk back a little bit of the debuff there.
And we'll see exactly what they can get done with it. As you say, you know, you can sometimes set up situations where you just go really aggressive early on. You use that first heal to just try to get a little bit of an HP advantage in a trade, and then you have that second heal for later on. But, you know, if we see FBI get caught in a critical fight, get CC'd up and
he's
die.
going to be hearing it all right.
Exactly. That's going to be in the back of your mind this whole game. So FBI, I think, you know, is really going to want to win this one because that is not something you want to be having your opponents remember.
APA wants to check and see if NRG's waiting there, and sure enough, they were. Contractz giving him the thumbs up. Palafox waiting here. CoreJJ does not get found out. All right, NRG won't get a whole lot back here.
Yeah, usually you really have to respect Braum in level 1 because Braum brings so much CC with the Q, with the passive. So level 1's very powerful there, but IgNar by himself demands a little bit less respect.
No, he's not too concerned about it.
Well, and just harassing him there means he doesn't have time to base now. So actually he just has to walk to lane. So it's basically just minus, you know, 50, 60 health at that level 1.
The mental debuffs on this bottom lane are stacking up.
That's why they brought the double heal. You can just pop it right now. Back to full.
Great. Quick, do it while no one's watching so they don't know your cooldown.
Hide your shame.
All right, FBI and IgNar, we're going to be tracking this bottom lane, see how it goes. Double heal as Palafox immediately going aggro on the Trist. We've seen this guy on this champion plenty of times before. We know he likes to play it aggressively. We know he always wants to be playing forward in that lane, shoving those waves in as the champion is designed to do. CoreJJ and Yeon, the Rell Kai'Sa. I said it back in Champ Select, I'll say it again now. This is one of those duos that we've seen so many times throughout the split. Both champions have just been S tier in their roles, often drafted together because of the way they synergize with dive.
And because they've got their Nocturne jungling from top to bottom here, they're going to have the jungle support if they want to go for one of those Rell engage opportunities. It's very, very hard versus Braum Ezreal. That's one of the least gankable lanes in League of Legends. Both of them having the jumps, both of them having the defenses, the double heals. My God, how can they lose?
It's going to be difficult for sure to get through them, but at the same time, you know, Core and Yeon just have to try and farm it out. We'll see where Pyosik wants to put on pressure. You know, I always really put a lot of emphasis on that first ulti from Nocturne because it's such an incredibly long cooldown when you first hit 6 and you don't have CDR. So I really want to see where Pyosik is going to find an opportunity to try to go for that. But Palafox, thus far in mid lane, really looking good, justifying that first pick Trist here in the early minutes.
And one of the big jobs for Maokai is always tracking enemy jungle here. And Contractz taking it upon himself to go find the Nocturne in the Nocturne's full clear. And Contractz has brought his smite with him. So he's threatening the smite fight on this Gromp and just trying to delay and drag this Nocturne down. Braum coming up to support Contractz in this jungle invade, actually.
But IgNar's doing the same.
But Palafox has push, so he has first move, and that's why he did that. He procs the phase rush, he runs towards Palafox. It looked risky when you see the support moving up, but it doesn't actually matter because Palafox has full prio in mid. APA is too low to move, so they're going to be able to pull off this invade. Really good aggressive play here from NRG.
Yeah, jungling is fully a team game. If you have your lanes to be able to support you like that, then that gives you so many options here. Contractz takes away the blue. He also, while he does not take away the Gromp, forces Pyosik off this side of the map, and so Pyosik is going to go for the cross scuttle crab here, but NRG have to know that. You can surmise simply by process of elimination. He can't be over on the bottom side of his map, so he's got to be up on the top side.
Yeah, it's really good stuff here from NRG, so they're going to be able to get the double scuttle. They're pushing back the experience heavily from Pyosik. You know, on this Nocturne, you want to be able to power farm, get straight to 6, get a kill with the ult, rinse and repeat, but he is going to have that really late level 6 now, and he's going to try to cross the map, look for the invade on the Raptors, but there's already assist pings on that, so Contractz has this downloaded, but this time APA has pushed through mid, so Pyosik shouldn't be able to get attacked by the enemy mid laner.
It's not going to last very long, though. Tristana does blow those minions up pretty quickly. Contract's going to walk over, and look at the bottom lane, too. IgNar's even fighting his way up. I repeat it, jungling is a full team game, team activity here. APA lends his support. They have to fight over those Raptors as well, and Pyosik now finally has his own camps to go back to.
Yeah, this is just really nice stuff. You know, great attack from NRG, good response there. When APA finally gets the push, he utilized his TP to get pushed there. Had already gone back to base early, and that does get Pyosik at least a camp back.
And so much of the work was done by Palafox himself. You know, Palafox and Contractz are very close as players, live together outside of the game. Really is nice to see mid laners helping their jungles like that, so you know that they'll get paid.
Why are you looking at me, bro?
Really nice to see those solo laners.
Jungling is a team game there, guys. Real nice when the mid laner moves.
But helping him secure the crab as well.
Attacked here.
Maybe he'll get some payback with a flash W Maokai ganking towards mid lane.
Perfect, perfect. Well, how we play, I'm coming to crab, I promise.
Good.
Early game
message delivered.
is pretty even, despite the fact that we got to see that nice coordination from NRG early on. A little bit of a strike back from Team Liquid. So Palafox wants to get some damage here on this first plate. Demolish plus explosive shot from Tristana is such a pain trying to defend these plates. It's how Tristana can build up so many of those early leads. Of course, you do have to be careful about that. If the enemy champion is close enough to the turret when the explosive shot does have that final kaboom, it's a wider radius when it's on a turret, so it's easy to accidentally take a shot back.
And this is why in game number 2, even though you could see the reasoning from NRG, we were a little bit perplexed on them self-banning the Tristana, but it was because they had a really high priority on that Kai'Sa and wanted to ensure that they could first pick it. In this game, we'll get to see, you know, where those values should be as far as your pick and ban values, because now they are forced to give up the Kai'Sa. This time around, they determined, let's go with the Tristana instead.
Palafox jumps in, going for the buster shot at APA, flashing in to follow him. Does he pick the right one? The quote dies. The real one does too. It's first blood over to Palafox here for a solo kill. Pyosik, nice spell shield to make sure the winner's bite ain't gonna bring him down too.
He gets them both for the extra plus 25 as well. And this was the critical issue in the first series that these two teams played in the round 1 of playoffs. It was mid lane, and it was mainly the Tristana and the Jace rotation that Team Liquid had a hard time dealing with. Now that NRG have put their faith back into it and brought that back. Here we go though, Pyosik's around, he wants to steal Dragon.
FPI's gotta be careful here. Team Liquid coming up wanting to challenge here with the Drake down to 1,000 HP, secured by Contractz and Energy. CoreJJ wants to engage, Pyosik down to about half HP. APA coming back into the fight now, but Pyosik has to flash to try to get away. FBI looking to chase him, kills him off first. CoreJJ coming in, Palafox down to 100 HP. Yeon's gonna be killed there by the Bramble smash. Double kill, back over to Contractz. Energy is tearing these guys apart. It's APA for dessert, and he ain't gonna take nobody with him.
APA got a round trip ticket to the fountain. He dies, he come back, he dies again, and NRG take down that dragon.
Double heal, no problem, baby. 5 kills, 3K lead, a dragon as well. NRG are crushing TL in the early minutes of game 3.
They use both the heals in that fight.
Exactly.
The dragon.
Double heal diff.
Double heal diff. Oh, let's take another look at it. Good job here putting up that Braum Unbreakable by the dragon just to block any stray damage that will come in towards it. So IgNar is going to be able to protect there. And then Team Liquid, since they extended pretty deep into the river before APA had gotten there, they lost a lot of health here trying to go for that. And the chase down from FBI there, he was able to jump forward, pick up the extra kill, and then APA gets sent right back.
NRG just played it out really, really well, collapsing on Pyosik to actually defend their Ezreal. And then as TL are overcommitting to try to kill off Palafox, they're just donating 2 kills to get the 1. We're back to live, and we're going to see them get a freebie on the Herald very likely here as well. Pyosik is 6, so we'll see if he can find an angle.
CoreJJ wants in, and Pyosik has already summoned up the paranoia. They get a little bit more CC down onto the enemy jungler. Contractz staying alive for now as CoreJJ has the explosive shot to his head. APA coming around from behind, but he ain't going to have the damage just yet. Summon's running forward. Dokla's all out, grabbing another kill as APA is still alive. Dokla trying to continue the assault, but he's going to be careful because Summit is the raid boss. They find another kill, and double kill back into APA. IgNar and Palafox versus Summit, but these are tricky fights. Summit's ready to follow and go for some kind of a kill here, but IgNar looking to drop the winner's bite, make sure they keep him CC'd. NRG disengage, and again, come out on top.
It's always Summit versus the rest of NRG at the end of these fights. Another close scrapper here, but another big defense from NRG. They get the objective before the fight happens, and then are able to get an extra kill as well.
Absolutely, and it's a great ultimate there from the Maokai, actually peeling off the reinforcements that were trying to come through, and then APA had a really nice wraparound, gets in the back line, but Palafox and FBI turn, they fire on him. It's a flash forward, though, from Summit, able to close the gap and make the difference. And I'm getting flashbacks to game number 1, that dragon fight, where NRG's killing everyone else off. But if you ignore the Aatrox, you are not going to be able to finish this guy off without multiple members.
It's also worth being said this time around, though, and you saw during the beginning of that replay, the critical arrival of Dhokla to the fight and him getting a triple kill with the all-out from Kai'Sa, him flashing in, chasing down Pyosik, picking up these straggler kills for NRG is where a lot of that money went to. And this is a very fed Kai'Sa. Look at this picture-in-picture. He's also going to get a turret plate in the aftermath. So as much as you do get a reminder of game number 1 from the Aatrox from Summit, this Kai'Sa is way more rich.
And the state of the 2 champions. You mentioned it earlier, guys. Summit is on a champion that recently, as of recently, loves to build these lethality items. He loves to do a ton of damage. Kai'Sa's ideal build early on is these armor items, right? He loves the Iceborne Gauntlet. He loves the Sunfire Cape. Getting Dhokla ahead, allowing him to stack that armor against the lethality of Summit is going to make him very effective in shutting down the Aatrox snowball.
And this is something we talk a lot about with Dhokla, but he is such a confidence-based player. When he starts having a good game, he really starts to feel himself. He can play with a lot more confidence. He often can take over those games. But back to that bottom side, CoreJJ playing with fire.
Yeah, just getting caught there as they immediately engage on the enemy support, but they don't have enough damage to kill him here at the very start. Yeon going back over the wall, but Contractz secures the kill. Pyosik now trying to escape as the Void Seeker is blocked by Contractz, so it can't take IgNar lower. Team Liquid just lose their support for that one.
A lot of work being done by Contractz. Again, picking off CoreJJ has become repeatable in this series. A lot of deaths getting racked up there by the Team Liquid former world champion support player. Contractz on the Maokai too, off of that last skirmish, had finished his demonic, so does have that giant chunk of extra damage coming through too.
Absolutely, and not only do they get the kill onto Core, they get the ulti off Pyosik, and that's a 2-minute cooldown this early on in the game, so that is a lot of the playmaking used there. Core used his ult, Pyosik used his ult, and it's just for 1 death.
NRG are loving the state of this game so far, plus almost 3,000 gold, 12 minutes into the game. It's the first time in the series that they've taken the first Drake. It's not quite as fast as Team Liquid took it in the first 2 games, but it's nice not to have to deal with that extra threat as Palafox wants to get another plate in mid lane, not quite going to get there as Core and Pyosik both show up to stop him. Next Drake is live right now, and you can see IgNar contesting that bottom river control.
Yeah, currently, this is the biggest early lead that we have had for either team in this series. Over 3,000 gold lead at just over 12 minutes plus the Dragon. And this Rift Herald is going to make it worse. That Rift Herald will kill this mid tower. NRG, they just walk it in. It's just going to have a couple more shots left. They can return with Tristana, blow that thing up later, and it buys them early passage into the river where they can set up their Maokai saplings.
And now NRG just need to go fast because there's still no ulti for the Nocturne.
But there's a teleport for Summit. There's not for Dhokla. That's the problem for NRG. It can turn into a 5v4 very quickly, but Dhokla may be able to interrupt the TP if Summit tries to use it too swiftly. They throw out the Maokai ulti. They zone everybody away. Contractz secures the objective. APA's coming around from the side. Awesome! Massive engage to the Team Liquid mid laner. The burst comes down. They're going to find the first kill on Contractz. NRG trying to disengage, but Pyosik dives into the back. He wants to find another, and he's got it on the FBI. Palafox and IgNar barely getting away. IgNar has to sidestep away from the blooming blows. He throws up the unbreakable, and he still stands to walk away. It's a Drake for 2.
Nicely done there by TL, getting into the back line, getting a couple kills off the end of that play. The missing cleanse really did hurt FBI in that fight. He got rooted up by the Neeko, and it's again just a great flank from APA. He is really adept at finding these angles and starting out the fights for his team to follow up on.
Yeah, there's two things I was looking at in that fight. First of all, NRG were doing that Dragon with no smite from Contractz.
Yeah, that made me nervous.
And Team Liquid were very close, but you could see the call in the movement from Team Liquid where APA is walking behind the Dragon pit from the very beginning. Let's take a look. Yeah, here he is right here. From the very beginning, he was looking and thinking of this flank. He goes in, uses the ultimate, uses the flash. CoreJJ has the instant follow-up with that Rell, and they get the big wombo combo.
And this is where the missing cleanse really hurts because there's the full route onto FBI. You know, he's down to about 20% HP before he gets out, and that allows Pyosik to actually follow through. It's a great buster shot back from Palafox to try to knock him into the turret, see if they can turn around and kill, but they're not able to make it happen.
Definitely good choice there by Pyosik to be able to save his Nocturne ultimate, not use it on the initial engage. Sometimes you'll see people just spaghetti out all their ultimates at the same time, but he saves it for the chase.
I love the terminology there. That was, so you painted a picture in my mind.
I'm a bit of a wordsmith.
I absolutely agree, bud. We've got the Rift Herald started up again. NRG ready to go for the objective. Still commanding a 2,000 gold lead plus 2 Drakes. Team Liquid coming to contest this one. TP from Dhokla. Available but not needed. He walks right back down to the fight. Palafox using his TP to take up position in mid. It would put him in a flank spot if Team Liquid wanted to contest, so they decide to back away from it. Herald goes over to NRG.
And that's the 4th straight objective now for NRG. They got both the Dragons, both the Heralds, and they could drop it mid for a guaranteed tier 1 if they want, but I don't think they're going to need to, as they're going to be able to knock that down with the explosive charge there from Palafox. So Palafox, again, top of the tables here, really, really rich right now, is in a position to carry, and we'll see if he can make it happen for the team.
Some big items coming online too. Duskblade completed for the Aatrox, allows him to go ham in those team fights. Stridebreaker on Nocturne, practically designed to fit into this champion's kit. Dhokla having the Iceborne Gauntlet makes his trades that much more effective against Summit, as well as the Trinity Force for FBI. A staple of those Ezreal builds from long gone. Close to having the fully stacked tier as well, about a little over 3/4 of the way there. So once he has the Manamune completed, should almost certainly evolve to Muramana immediately. Yeon also building towards that second item on the Kai'Sa.
And it's kind of fun seeing TL's adaptation, of this Nocturne comp, because we saw a lot of Nocturne Kennen in the past, and this is basically just a variation on that. With the Nocturne, paired with that Neeko, it covers the flanks. You can't see where that Neeko is coming from. And in the later game fights, we may see that happen, where APA, is coming from an angle, Pyosik pops the ulti, and all of a sudden NRG, it becomes chaos, because you don't know where that flank is going to come from, and it becomes very difficult to mark it and respond to it.
And the other thing that's difficult for NRG is that there are 2 people that you have to mark when you're looking at these flanks. It's him as well as CoreJJ. Maybe with how Summit does on this Aatrox, you might have to mark 3 people and watch him as well, but it just becomes so many things to track, and it really does emphasize the importance of warding your flanks when you're setting up for these Dragons, for these objectives.
Well, that next objective is going to be a Hex Drake. 1 minute and 15 seconds from now. Another Hex Soul, another Hex Gate map. This is a huge prize for either team. And this game, it's NRG that are stacking towards it.
Yep, they already got the 2 Dragons here relatively quickly. They're playing double marksman, so going to be incredibly happy about that. Tail is going to have to try to draw a line in the sand on when they actually want to contest and when they want to try to stop this stack. And based on their positioning, they're trying to get out to this Dragon early. They're trying to establish vision, but it's really hard to hold vision against these AP Maokai builds. He's going to come in, he's going to throw saplings, he's going to harass you, and make it difficult for you to hold that ground and defend these pinks.
We've got Unleashed Teleport on both top laners. They can join the scrap if they need to. Palafox and FBI ready to go in after Yeon. He's been caught. The explosive charge nearly gonna get him, and it does! Palafox secures the kill on the Team Liquid AD carry. He will not respawn in time for the Drake. The Herald is summoned up mid, and it's money, money, money in energy pockets.
This could be the mid lane inhibitor tower. I think they're gonna get the tier 2 and the inhibitor tower. No one's responding to this except Core. We'll see if NRG wants to keep pushing or if they're gonna go straight back. Let me see. So they're gonna go straight to the dragon. They want to guarantee that dragon, and now they caught Pyosik.
Yup, Contractz immediately flashing in, looking to lock down that enemy jungler. Pyosik trying to escape using the paranoia, but it's going to be FBI and IgNar working together to put more damage in, and they chase him all the way out. APA trying to get away from Palafox, who's ready to lock him down. Contractz is there for the assist, and APA dies for the 4th time this game. Summit's hanging around, but what are you going to do in a situation like this? Energy have control, Energy have the river, Energy have the Drake. Team Liquid have nothing to do but look on. Their jungler cannot contest, and that's sole point at 18.5 minutes. Energy jumping forward into the brush as well. They're not going to allow Team Liquid anything on the back end of this one.
Team Liquid forced to scatter across the map in the face of the might of Energy in the last few minutes here. Energy have just dominated. Them getting that pick on Yeon in mid lane snowballs and has a domino effect, getting them multiple mid towers, as well as the dragon, as well as the extra chase down kill onto APA in the bottom lane. And Team Liquid in game number 3 are starting to crumble.
Palafox is now nearly 2,500 gold ahead of APA in that 1v1. He's 1,000 gold ahead of the second richest person in the game, which is Dhokla, I believe. So
you can say
ridiculously strong.
Mid-diff.
Yeah, it's a mid gap, and it's starting to kind of give you that memory back to the previous series and where they did play against each other, where Palafox was able to actually create that big difference in mid lane. And so TL, potentially if they lose this game, might have to change up their picks and bans for the first time really in this series, because now it seems like Tristana is going to remain highly prized for Energy, and that pick has shown that it can really pay dividends for Palafox.
The clock is ticking forward. It is less than 4 minutes until Team Liquid pretty much has to win the Drake fight. Otherwise, what are you going to do against double marksman with a Hex Soul? It's just so oppressive when they're already this far ahead on top of it. 3,500 gold. IgNar sidestepping away from the Void Seeker. FBI versus Yeon here in mid. Summit's going to step forward to help clear out the wave. Energy wants to make sure they maintain control over this topside river. CoreJJ wants to engage on Palafox. Energy gets their mid laner back out of it, and he's going to kite the enemy support right away. Another explosive charge in his head. True shot barrage up at the top takes him out anyway. Team Liquid's heading for the hills, but Energy is heading right after him. Pop awesome to turn it around. APA with a hero play, but not quite yet. Team Liquid finally kill Palafox, but at what cost? FBI's gonna kill APA right back. It's 3 dead bodies in Team Liquid jerseys.
They can go for the Baron as well. Everybody's up. It's just Summit the hope here. Pyosik is on a sliver of health, and he has no flash. That steal would be really, really hard.
There's no world ender, there's no chance. I don't see any way Team Liquid goes into the pit here.
It's a blast cone, but it's too far away. That Baron's gone.
No shot in hell. They want to try to take that. Energy win the team fight. They win the Baron. They are winning this game by a long shot right now.
Energy just team fight their way out of that problem. APA had a great turn with the ulti, but even with Aatrox in the back line,
CoreJJ, where are you going?
And Core was so far ahead of the initial engage here, went in really, really deep. Yeon goes there to follow. Pyosik comes in as well, but Summit can't really get involved until much later. And then as the leap comes forward, APA finds the turn, the ulti onto 4, and then you look at this duel on the right side of your screen. FBI able to fight his way out of it against Summit, while the rest of the squad is battling to protect Palafox. Yes, TL do get him, but it costs them way too much.
And that has been the story of a couple of different fights this game. Remember, back early on with that first trade where Palafox was the only one to die, we saw his reaction cam just clapping his hands. He's happy to be the one who dies if the team gets the massive dub after. Plus 5,500 gold. Baron buff for another 2 minutes, and the Drake will spawn before that. IgNar versus Summit here in the jungle, but IgNar has backup. Summit's forced to flash over the wall. FBI doesn't have the true shot barrage to try to finish off the snipe, but Team Liquid having their top laner that low, they're not going to be able to contest this top lane tier 2, and Energy gets richer by the minute.
and it doesn't get easier with time for Team Liquid. It doesn't get better for them. This is why in Champ Select I was so worried about them being so obvious with their full dive comp into the counter from NRG, having a lot of disengage, but they only do one thing, and they gotta go keep doing that thing. Dive them.
FBI coming in from the Hex Gate. Frontline IgNar throwing up the Unbreakable. APA wants the back line, but he ain't gonna find Palafox. FBI's gonna get shut down. Yeon's low, but he ain't killed off yet. Contractz staying alive with half HP. Team Liquid doesn't have the ammo. They don't have the guns. They don't have the men. They don't have a chance. NRG will mop the floor with them and take game 3 in the process.
Palafox and Dhokla take over for NRG. It is a stop in game number 3. 8K gold lead, 22 minutes in. They're marching on the Nexus.
Nocturne does not win these. Winner's Bite connects. NRG continuing their push up. Pyosik tries to stop it, but the Winner's Bite has already got him primed for a good time. As long as your name is Palafox and NRG, the Nexus, the focus now is CoreJJ is the only one up to try to stop him. Yeon's alive now. The Nexus dropping quickly, down to about 10%. 2 more autos will do it. It's done. NRG win game 3. They're going on a match point.
That is a massive win here for NRG, especially with the miscue on the summoners there. The fact that they're able to win the game with the double heal, that does not get in their head. They play a great game. Palafox has an incredible performance on the Tristana, was ahead from the word go, enabling invades from Contractz, really showing up in the 5v5s. Had a great buster shot to disengage APA. Yes, it got FBI killed in that final fight, but he was the one who needed to stay alive. And as soon as Palafox is free, he absolutely took over.
And I love the coordination that we saw from the very first minute of this game from NRG, where they have the 2 pushing lanes. Contractz passes way down to go for the invade. They know the Nocturne is going to go for this full clear. They support him in that invade, and they start to get that early lead rolling off of mid lane pressure.
It started early, and the rolling never stopped. NRG's on match point, and to break down game 3, we're heading back over to the LCS Lounge.
Thank you so much, Captainflowers. And how about that one? NRG puts themselves 1 game away from a date with Cloud9 in the finals just tomorrow.
And even with the back and forth fights, I felt like this was the cleanest game we've seen today.
Today, not the highest bar, but we surpassed it. Well done.
Well, I think it was just also the most dominant early game lead we saw.
Yeah.
So even though Team Liquid is a team that's never going to stop picking fights, they continue to opt into them. It was, I believe, a 3,000 gold lead just 8 minutes into the game because of NRG's clean play around mid.
And that's really rare, because if we think all the way back to even game 2, Summit was dominating lane, Core and Yeon have been good, but the early jungle pathing really set up NRG for success.
Yeah, and here you're just going to see him go birds to Krugs to red and then go for this invade. I know Kobe talked about it, but I did want to touch on it again, is the fact that they, off of this pushing mid, if you notice where Palafox is at all times, that mid pressure from the Trist is what allows Contractz to be so confident in going for this play.
On top of that, they also have Ezreal, Braum, who are just notoriously strong in early game skirmishes. So if Pyosik actually tries to contest this, he gives up more than just the blue buff. The only counter would have been to start blue and path towards top line, which he didn't.
Yeah, and here we see, again, we talked about the Palafox APA matchup, how Palafox got the better of APA in that first series that they had. While I do think APA has been performing better today than that series, you still see how important Palafox pressure was in this early game.
And if you take a look at the composition, even if it was even, I actually really enjoy NRG's composition. Double AD carry with Break, kite back with Maokai and Braum into both Rell and Nocturne. Just in general, it's going to be very difficult to get to the back line, and I just enjoyed it. I thought it was good. And so with the early snowball, it's just so difficult. You saw the Nocturne ultis that came in later on from Team Liquid, just to see if they can get back into the game, and it was difficult.
And this is such a big performance from Palafox. Palafox versus APA, it was the key thing that allowed them to 3-1 TL, which knocked them down to the loser back in the first place. And it's actually, the gap between the two has grown this series. That's how well Palafox is playing.
He's been incredible all playoffs long, to be fair. He's been, I would argue, the most important member of NRG. Everyone needs to remember his face, like we saw last time at the start.
Not just his face, remember his name too. The two go together.
They go together.
If you want that $5 from Travis Gafford, that's how you get it.
Also remember his stats, because he has been dominating. He beat up Gory, he beat up JoJo. He's been good against everyone so far.
And we were wondering how being in a stadium would affect these players, right? How we talked about, we saw them in rehearsal yesterday, and in particular, NRG were just looking around being like, wow, we're here, we're so excited. Nerves do not seem to be an issue for any of the NRG players.
I would also say Yeon had good game too on the Draven and stuff.
Yeah.
I doesn't feel like a nerves game. It feels like it's coming down to a lot of strategy in terms of how they're going to deal with Palafox in the mid lane. It's been 3 games straight of red side for Team Liquid. Maybe it's time for them to look at that.
I was about to say, everybody wants a 5th game, Raz.
Yes.
So let's talk about how we get there. Obviously, the Palafox APA matchup is going to be a big one. But even from the draft, TL has been the team most willing, it seems, to kind of jab at different strategies. Where do you want to see them go?
I mean, they lost this game, so they get the choice of side selection, and where do you think it's going to go?
Blue side.
Blue side. And Tristana has been the main focus, and it feels like at least both teams feel pretty comfortable facing into Kai'Sa. So Tristana is the big takeaway here. I think the composition we saw from NRG is what we should be seeing now that the games are looking slightly bit cleaner and not as hectic as you would expect. So I think that's the starting point. And I just enjoy, if you're going with Tristana, you're naturally going to have double AD carry. You'll put yourself in a position where Maokai just feels like he's a lot easier to support in the early portions of the game. So thinking this composition, if you can get it again, perfect. Team Liquid, I think they actually can play that type of composition too. We saw that earlier on in the playoffs.
I like that move as well, just because it gets Pyosik back off of something like the Nocturne. I just think the Nocturne has such a slim margin for error, right? Because you see, as soon as he becomes irrelevant in a game with a small gold deficit, he has no options. And as one of your veterans, as one of your leaders, the person that you kind of want to be calling the shots perhaps in high-pressure situations alongside CoreJJ, I think give him something with agency, but without a necessary demand on performance from second one in a solo carry performance.
And honestly, this reminds me of the matchup that Team Liquid had versus Quid and Closer, where, you know, it was Tristana mid lane, and Poppy just path through mid, secured the level 2, invaded on Closer, took his entire top side camp. It's like, if you just are able to allow Tristana to get pushed, or if you're just confident that he's going to get that level 1 already, the invade is going to be a big thing. So Tristana, difficult to counter in general, and I think it's going to be what decides the series.
I mean, I'm feeling like NRG has a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's going to be really hard for Team Liquid to come back, because the way that Team Liquid won Game 2 felt very sudden. They had the soul, but then they'd blown the lead. There was a 5,000 gold swing. They won one team fight and they win. That moves into Game 3 here, where they get steamrolled. And I just feel like their drafts are very constricted. Because they are banning Jace every single game. I don't think they actually want to play Tristana into, say, Palafox's Azir. So I think that's one of the reasons they've been picking red side. I do agree you pick blue side anyway, but with the way they lost the early game, with how restricted their drafts are, with APA's champion pool and how well Palafox is playing, it's just a massive uphill battle.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the draft point, because a lot of it is also like, what do you want Pyosik on, right? Like, because he's probably not going to pull a Contractz and play like the Ivern or the Maokai, both of which are really big power picks that could be for NRG. And I'm glad you brought up the Azir too, because that's something we've seen across all regions, and even in LCS, being such an important mid lane pick that Palafox plays that we have not seen APA be comfortable with.
The other problem right now is I'm not sure where you're trying to target either, in terms of like, okay, we know APA, Palafox is something that you're going to want to like stem the bleeding of, but like, where are you attacking exactly? Because Dhokla's been fine into Summit so far. IgNar's been very good. Contractz has been incredible. He's been getting very good paths off. So it's like, there's not an obvious point too where you want to send your attack towards, other than trying to cover APA's early game and then make plays in the mid to late.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, kind of beat me to the question, because we talked about what were the perceived lopsided matchups of mid lane going in favor of Palafox, Summit perhaps winning out lane phase against Dhokla. But can we really ask for more out of Summit in this series? Because in a lot of ways, he's entered the mid game with a pretty sizable lead, either through CS or kills. And one person can only do so much. The only other thing I'll say to your point there, Mark, is that in Game 2 at least, TL did show us, okay, perhaps it's Yeon with the Draven pick. That's just a confidence pick that he can take it.
One guy we haven't talked about who also needs to play better is CoreJJ.
Yeah.
It's Core and the JJs. He's been on the team 5 consecutive years. He is the leader. His engages have not been it. He needs to find cleaner engages, and he needs to play better.
And then for NRG, I think they're perfectly comfortable. Again, even in the loss, we saw a lot of mid-game and side lane attention that they were really good at. And what a phenomenal story for this team, right? They're on match point to go to finals. Like this, they've stuck with this roster, they've stuck with this coaching staff, and now it's paying off. Like, that's an awesome story. Like, it's really awesome to watch.
NRG 1 game away from booking their trip to the championship final tomorrow. Find out if they'll advance to the finals, or if TL is going to send us the Silver Scrapes after the break.
Double heal again.
Okay, run down. I'm dead. I'm on Kai'Sa.
Shield up in 3,
Neeko no play with Ezreal, no flash. Nice.
Contractz staying alive for now as CoreJJ and the explosive shot from his head. APA coming around from behind, but he ain't gonna have the damage just yet. Summon's running forward. Dhokla's all out, grabbing another kill as APA is still alive. Dhokla trying to continue the assault, but he's gonna be careful because Summon is the raid off. They find another kill and then we'll come back into APA. Team Liquid's heading for the hills, but NRG is heading right after him. Palafox to turn it around. APA with a hero play, but not quite yet. Team Liquid finally kill Palafox, but at what cost?
No destination, but it's worth a shot. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go.
I've got the Samsung 990 Pro series. Shall we get started then? The speed exceeds all expectations. Reading speeds are 40% quicker than before, and writing speeds are 55% faster. Through the in-house controller, the per watt performance has improved up to 50%. The 990 Pro's nickel coating controller for its smart thermal solution technology controls heat. Playing computer games? Obviously the best.
Pick it up, that mama. What you want, no drama. Do me good, good karma. Do me good, good karma. Pick it up, that mama. What you want, no drama. Do me good, good karma. Do me good, good karma. Playing games, why you treat me like a console? In the hood, they still love me like I'm Rambo. Was a runner, bust up, head honcho. If it ain't about the money, change convo. All I need is my ego and shy, yo. She said, duh, you the realest that I know. I should slow, I'm a bit like a Congo. I'm a soldier, she won't treat me like a commando. With the crew out in Central Pay. I was lost, but I found my way. On the road, I've been gone for days. Catching the vibe, we ain't catching the case. With the crew and we all getting paid. Got a view in the bay with a lake. With a sweetie called a candy cane. She loving the vibe, fell in love with the chase. Pick it up, that mama. What you want, no drama. Do me good, good karma. Do me good, good karma. Open leg, dip into it like queso. So good, put her on a payroll. Cause the money never get low. Where you from? She said Trinidad Tobago. Say the word, yeah, I'm willing and able. Say the word, yeah, I'm willing and able. What you bring to them table? Don't you know I'm the whole damn table? Okay. Let's go. Okay. Let's go.